The presidential couple of Cameroon extends a hand of compassion to flood victims in the littoral as administrative and council officials work out measures to stop the maddening rainwaters from causing more distress and destruction. The defense forces operating in the northwest region demonstrate their humaneness by handing back the children of a self-proclaimed warlord to their biological parents. Get to know Le Bois de Madoc, or the Madoc Garden in Gaoundéré, which is fast becoming a key tourist attraction in the Adamawa regional capital. Those are our lead stories. Hello and thanks for joining us on the 7:30 News. I am Ben Menopofong.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
Thanks for being with us. Flood victims in the Senegal Maritime Division of the Littoral Region have received humanitarian relief assistance from the presidential couple of Cameroon, Paul and Chantal Biya. The package was handed over to them in Idea today by the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganje, who urged the population to collaborate with the authorities to avert recurrence of the mishap. Ebenezer Kanga is with the minister in Idea.
On the 20th of August 2020, heavy rains caused floods in Idea. 2 persons died and there was much material damage. Informed of the natural disaster, President Paul Biya dispatched the Minister of Territorial Administration to Idea to hand assistance from the presidential couple to the victims. Some 200 families were affected by the floods. Among them, this internally displaced woman from the northwest region who lost her child.
I'm very happy and thankful for the hit of state. Me no abandon us.
The Idea City Mayor described the assistance as very comforting, while the Minister of Territorial Administration said that the gesture shows the concern the head of state has for all Cameroonians.
When they give them advice to leave a site which is not comfortable, which is not even conducive for living, the earlier they leave, the better.
Upon arrival in Idea, the Minister of Territorial Administration visited some risky areas of the town, where he urged municipal and administrative authorities to take measures to send away those living in flood-prone zones.
And the main access road to the Douala International Airport on the west entrance into the city has collapsed. The collapse follows the heavy downpour that has been hitting the city, causing floods and damages to property. As Larry's Nane Epote reports, the weakened roadway is rather seriously impeding traffic in the area.
The depression came as a result of a landslide on one slope of the road, causing almost half of the road to crumble, thereby rendering circulation near fragile. It is one vehicle at a time, so to not worsen the situation that is already life-threatening. This road is one of the main roads leading to the Douala International Airport. This incident, noticed this morning, is one of the after effects of the flood that hit the economic capital days ago after a heavy downpour. The fall of soil in this part of the road is a result of the excessive water in this area trying to find its way. After a visit by the senior divisional officer for the Vuri and a team from the Douala City Council, and per a communique signed by the littoral governor, this part of the road has been barred from circulation and a deviation created. Users of this road coming from Bonaberi, Akwa Bonanjo, mostly going towards the Douala International Airport, will now have to use the deviation linking them to the east end. This cut will be the new cause of traffic congestion along this stretch of road. Road users are thus looking forward for this part of the road to be repaired in the days ahead.
And so the rainy season is here again with its accompanying floods causing havoc and distress across the length and breadth of the National Triangle. It is now more than ever before that the National Observatory on Climate Change becomes indispensable as it keeps Cameroonians informed on when and where precipitations may occur so they can take measures to stay safe. Constantine Baum was at the observatory today and now reports on its key missions.
The National Observatory on Climate Change in Cameroon has two key areas of intervention: monitoring of the climate and the evaluation of its impacts.
With the license we have, we've been able to access the data from some of the international institutions or centers, and we now use it to analyze the kind of services or information, the seasonal and sub-seasonal bulletins forecast.
This information helps them to analyze and at the end of the day produce seasonal bulletins on daily basis or 10 daily weather forecasts. The observatory has been able to produce climate profiles for 8 regions in Cameroon.
For the last 12 years that we studied the agricultural sector, it's losing a lot in terms of revenue, and which is directly impacting our GDP.
The second main action carried out is focus on greenhouse gas inventories and carbon audit. With the collaboration of partners, they have been able to find out if the national regulations are being respected.
As meteorologists predict even heavier rains in the days ahead, council officials in Yaoundé are currently engaged in spirited actions to hold back the waters in the event of a flood. Top amongst these measures is the sensitization of the population on proper methods of waste disposal and the clearing of waterways that have been blocked by refuse and other domestic waste. Clarissa Ray Takan took interest in some of these preemptive measures.
Houses built in valleys, one of the don'ts in urban development. A few kilometers away, this marshy area is where quite a number of inhabitants, out of the more than 300,000 in the Yaoundé 3 municipality, have chosen to make their abode. A risk council authorities are all too aware of.
We recruited 42 youth where they went out to do cleaning of streets. They also went to clear up the waterways. We accompanied them by giving them equipment to assist them open waterways within their neighborhoods.
The threat of flooding due to heavy rains has also kept them busy on another front.
People are also building in waterways. We go ahead to instruct them, to tell them that they are not building within the town planning norms. If you hesitate, we give you a number of days for you to destroy your building by yourself. If you hesitate as well, we elaborate a municipal arrêté. We go ahead to demolish the building.
While weather forecasts make many concerned about safety, there are calls for inhabitants to shun human behavior, which will make an already bad situation worse.
And the preemptive measures are not only limited here in the nation's capital. Over in the littoral, Governor Samuel Dieudonné Ivaha Diboa has equally been outlining a number of measures to the inhabitants so that at the wake of the floods that have engulfed part of the city. He has urged city council officials to quickly engage in the clearing of drainage channels and the evacuation of people living in high-risk zones. Here is an excerpt of the governor as he spoke to our reporters after today's crisis meeting.
The government have sent in 2016 a team here in Douala to evaluate how can we face some catastrophic situations, and a report have been made. They have asked also population to build houses where they can be safe. We are working so that many of them that are being surprised by these floods to come and see how we can give some solutions.
The country's early alert system is predicting that 3 localities in the country, notably Kribi, Limbe and Marua, are at risk of facing floods, and so measures ought to be taken to avoid the worst. That's how administrative and council officials in these areas are working round the clock to come up with preventive measures just in case. Alice May now reports on some of the measures that are being announced in these towns to face up to any eventual calamity.
These are the banana and coconut trees destroyed by flood in the South region. The mayor of this locality says the effect of the heavy rains can lead to the division of the road.
I plead with the Minister of the Economy to see into the reconstruction of this road while waiting for an urgent solution. The Kribi Council has taken a decision to unblock all the gutters.
Over in Marwa in the far north region, a recent flood had racked away the Mezam Bridge and some neighborhoods in this area. To prevent the reoccurrence of this disaster, the city council has embarked on the opening of drainage channels.
We make a diagnostic to the situation, and we discover that the big canal through Marwa 2 and Marwa 3 is completely blocked. The first thing which we do is to clean these drainage channels. I hope that population will follow what we are doing it, to observe all hygiene rules here.
Emergency actions may therefore be needed to minimize the effect of heavy rain in the country as municipal executives take preventive measures.
Let's talk over other developments now in the news. The commander of the 5th Military Region, Brigadier General Cavalier, says the defense forces in the Northwest region are operating with a human face and in strict respect of basic human rights principles. He was speaking in Bamenda today as he handed back 2 children of a self-proclaimed secessionist general to the family members. Kilo Valorin Salah reports that the children received the basic needs to enable them pick up life again.
At the headquarters of the 5th Joint Military Region in Bamenda, the 2 daughters of the self-styled secessionist General Alaji of Bafut, Ngwa Sunita aged 17 and Ngwa Joradin aged 6 are reassured that after 4 months under the care of the military and social affairs officials in the region, their future is being looked into.
We have secured most of the things that they need that can enable Sonita to continue her training.
One of the children talks of the services received during their stay in Bamenda.
They bought me dresses, and give me for me and my sister.
The military hierarchy in the region is interpreting these actions.
Our men in the field are observing the humanitarian law.
In May 2020, the military launched an operation in Bafut targeting General Alaji, who escaped from his home, leaving behind his 2 daughters who were taken away by the military for intelligence gathering.
In our slot, Cameroon, my beautiful country, we take you to the discovery of a gorgeous public recreation facility in the Damawa regional capital, Ngaoundéré, the Bois de Madoc, situated in the heart of the city. The recently inaugurated garden is a must-visit area in the town as it offers a serene retreat for residents and visitors to Ngaoundéré alike. Silas Nkwane takes us on a guided tour.
Found at the south entrance of the town of Ngaoundéré, the Madoc Garden is a perfect place for nature lovers.
It's very nice place. This is very nice place. I love that place very much.
Inaugurated on the 17th of February 2020, the garden is the symbol of the town's reawakening. Impeccably designed and maintained, the tens of hectares of garden and its tall trees offer a serene retreat for residents and visitors. The exciting wildlife that inhabits the beautiful garden includes camels and many types of birds that attract visitors, especially on weekends. And you can choose to buy works of art or any souvenir for your family and friends, or have lunch or dinner in this restaurant. There's also a comfortable motel around and a large conference hall.
Just how well is the practice of bilingualism faring in Cameroon today? The National Commission for Bilingualism has been in the field to assess how the law is being implemented in government ministries that are expected to serve as the locomotive of bilingualism in the country. Constantine built one of the 13 teams that were deployed in the field today and came back with the following story.
This evaluation working session will enable the Commission assist the ministries on what the new law of official languages in Cameroon prescribes.
Tell you that the law actually focuses, is what they call a user-centered law. It focuses on how users should be able to be treated in the language of their choice, and that's why we thought that we should come to the ministries.
This session at the Ministry of Finance on this first day of a week-long evaluation is taking place in 13 other ministries as 13 teams are assessing the level of implementation of the December 2019 law on official languages.
We are making very great efforts to translate all our documents. As you know, we are in front line with the users, with the parliament, and we are working on financial issues.
The current evaluation comes 2 years after recommendations on the use of Cameroon's 2 official languages were made to ministries.
On to politics now. Members of the CPDM party who disrespected the party's disciplinary measures, especially during the last twin elections in the country, risk expulsion from the party. The disciplinary committee of the party began sitting in Yaoundé today to examine the files brought before it, with committee chair Peter Mofani Musonge insisting that no transgressions will be left unaddressed. Kilian Dandifon reports.
Only one, Elua Bidung of Yaoundé 6 Council, out of about 100, didn't threaten CRTV camera for making public their presence at the ad hoc disciplinary committee of the 16-member Central Committee of the CPDM chaired by Peter Mofani Musonge, with a well-defined role.
Identify, hear, establish blame or establish responsibilities on the part of militants who violated the rules of the party or refused to abide by the instructions or the circulars of the hierarchy.
After the grassroots disciplinary committee, the Central Committee and Political Bureau advised and sanctioned accordingly.
Temporary exclusion, definitive exclusion, they can remove you from the post or function that you're occupying.
The focus of the present committee that runs for 1 week is indiscipline. During the last 2 municipal and legislative elections, we saw many party members summoned deviate from party discipline for self-interest.
Cameroon's Ministry of Public Health has been evaluating its riposte plan against the COVID-19 pandemic with its major partners and stakeholders. Focus was on the effectiveness of the 3T strategy, that is, the tracking, testing and treatment strategy, and the results it has produced thus far. Here now is Public Health Minister Manauda Malachi with what has been done and what is yet to be done in the ongoing fight against the killer pandemic.
We have discussed about some various problematics, notably with the point of strengthening of our plan riposte, the other points which can be strengthened, and we have called up all the actors in our country, the personnel of MinSanté. We are going to proceed with scientific council so we can reactualize our plan.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
The Ministry of Public Health is evaluating measures put in place by the government in the last 6 months to limit the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic in Cameroon. This is through a series of consultations between Public Health Minister and some stakeholders involved in the fight against the COVID-19 that started today and will run through to August the 28th, 2020. Let's now join our reporter Baldwin Sama at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center with an update on the situation. Hello, Baldwin. Good evening.
Good evening to you, Ben Menopofong. The last 6 months have not been quite easy for the government of Cameroon in our ongoing fight against the spread of COVID-19 in the country. But if the government has been able to succeed so far, it is thanks to collaboration with different stakeholders involved in this fight against the spread of the coronavirus. And that is why the government has been appreciating the key role played by most of these stakeholders via the Ministry of Public Health, given that the minister today began a series of consultations with these different stakeholders that have decided to accompany the government to fight against the spread of the coronavirus. This series of consultations that will continue right through the 28th of this month of August, and they are working on what strategies they are going to use in the 10 different regions of the country to limit the spread of this deadly virus. And during the traditional press briefing this evening, public health experts are equally looking forward to big upcoming events in the country, such as a back to school in the months ahead concerning the primary, secondary, and higher education sectors in the country, given that these are opportunities during which the virus can easily be spread in the 10 different regions of the country. They say there is no need for any fear. Cameroonians are reassured that measures have been put in place by the government of Cameroon to avoid any further contamination, to avoid any spread of the coronavirus during a back to school, and especially during the 2021 African Nations Championship, the CHAN, that Cameroon is going to be organizing. Measures have been put in place to ensure that we have a hitch-free COVID-19 African Nations Championship in the month of January 2021, with the main messages of respecting all these barrier measures put in place by the government of Cameroon sent across to Cameroonians, that they should continue respecting all these barrier measures that will help limit the spread of the coronavirus. That's the key message from the Public Health Emergency Operations Center this Monday evening. Back to you, Ben Menopofo.
Thank you very much, Baldwin Sama. And you're watching the 7:30 news on the Cameroon Radio Television, the CRTV. We are beaming live from Yaoundé. As the holiday season blooms into its fullness across the country, holiday makers in the North region are engaging in the art of weaving and embroidery to keep time going. As some of them told our reporters of CRTV North, learning a trade in this time of school is also a means of gaining skills which will be beneficial to them sometimes after. Our reporter Vanessa Woodnang Namung witnessed them in the learning process and compiled the following story.
Weaving and embroidery are activities passionately carried out during the holidays by Sandrine and Sukaira, Form 5 and lower 6th students of the Francophone subsystem of education. I came here to learn weaving and embroidery so as to stay away from unnecessary outings. Their trainer, the owner of a workshop at the Garwa Handicraft Village, says drilling these school children is his own way of curbing juvenile delinquency, often observed during holidays. When these articles are sold, the teenagers receive a token which they save for their school needs. The money I receive here after articles are sold will enable me prepare my back to school. Arts which they believe will be profitable in future.
Cameroon's representative at the UN Permanent Mission in Geneva, Switzerland, has officially assumed office. Salomon Ahed took office in a ceremony attended by the Cameroonian diaspora in Switzerland and other parts of Europe. Charles Ebune reports on the solemnity of that diplomatic event.
The United Nations office in Geneva, Switzerland, the second largest United Nations operational office in the world, And it is from here that Salomon Ehet will be representing Cameroon as Ambassador, Permanent Representative to the United Nations Permanent Mission in Geneva, Switzerland, on behalf of the government of Cameroon. The new Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, recently appointed by President Paul Biya, is introduced to his close collaborators. Henceforth, he will be working with to represent the interests of Cameroon and defend them in many international organizations, including the World Trade Organization and others here in Geneva. Salomon Ehet, proud to come into Geneva as Cameroon's permanent representative to the United Nations office, was the director of the International Relations Institute of Cameroon.
The United Bank of Africa, UBA, has inaugurated her new agency in Kribi in the Ocean Division of the South region. The customers of the bank will no longer have to travel long to carry out their banking transactions. Cyril Mwazeke reports from Kribi.
Kribi in the Ocean Division of Cameroon is now fully connected to the network of the leading digital bank, UBA. The newest baby of this banking group has seen the light of day in the well-known neighborhood of Mokolo in Kribi. The United Bank for Africa, UBA, first implanted in Cameroon in 2008, has a wide range of services which customers in Kribi will now benefit from. This UBA branch was highly awaited.
Being here in Kribi today is another landmark in our expansion in Cameroon, where we believe that will be one of the most important banks in the market. We know the market has been expecting our arrival, and we'll try to fulfill the promises.
Africa's global bank, now spread in 7 regions of Cameroon, serves her Kribi clientele with a wide range of digital products. A chat box called Leo, magic banking, and a push and pull to facilitate the banking transactions. For some of these products, no data is required to obtain their services. Before this, customers could use only the GAP or ATM for the limited services it could offer. Now the 3 E's, enterprise, excellence, and execution, UBA's core values can now deliver excellent services.
We are there to bring out digital solutions, but also excellent service, because that's the main differentiator. Customer first is our motto.
Africa's global bank seeks to go higher heights in Cameroon with several other projects in the pipe.
Some 15 ICT startups are showcasing their innovative talents at the ICT Innovation Week that opened in Yaoundé today. The 15 are expected to participate in a contest to select the best ICT project of the year in an event that is being spearheaded by Cameroon's Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications. Yoti Kaleli Songa reports on day 1 of the Innovation Week.
The race is on for the most innovative project of the year, but before the whistle is blown for the competition to begin, the 15 startups each take turns pitching their projects to the Post and Telecommunications boss.
When I listen to what they have done, the content of their project, I'm satisfied because I realize that they are very genius.
Emphasis this year is on ICTs in a context of health crisis.
I cannot anticipate on the final ranking. I'm sure that on Friday we will have the best project which can really help Cameroon fight against COVID-19.
As they brace up to face the jury, they are schooled on business models at this boot camp.
They would define what are the different elements, problem solving, solution, and the cost to which they would bring their solution into the market. Then they have the strategy, marketing strategy. How do you get your solution to be sold out there in the market?
The 15 startups shortlisted are based in 5 of the 10 regions of Cameroon.
The 7:30 news on the Cameroon Radio Television, that's the way it was this Monday evening. Thanks for watching and bye-bye.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing